Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Toni and I am a homeschooling mom to 4 kids. I'm sharing with you today some mistakes that I have made over the years that hopefully you can look at and do the opposite of so that your homeschool will be more successful. So you don't have to make the same mistakes that I made. So if you want to hear what those are, then stay tuned. So I've been homeschooling for 7 years now, and I do have 4 kids, grades 6th grade, 4th grade, 2nd grade, and a pre-K kindergartner. I have made a lot of mistakes along the way. I have learned from my mistakes and I try to make it better. So I'm just trying to share with you today some of the things that I did wrong, so don't do them. So things that you can skip out on the, oops, I wish I hadn't done that. Oh, I wish I'd done this better. So take these 5 tips that I'm going to share with you today and hopefully implement them in your homeschool so that you can just keep smooth sailing and just have a wonderful homeschool. So in looking back, the first thing that I would do over and just do differently that I'm making a change now of that I want to share with you is about read alouds. So I love read alouds. When my kids were little, we always would do read alouds, especially when I had 1 or 2. When my oldest was really little, we did 5 in a row. So the whole entire curriculum revolves around reading aloud the same book every single day. That was amazing. I loved it. That was for kindergarten. So that kind of gave me a taste for how important read alouds are in your homeschool. I really tried to make sure that was a big piece of our homeschool. And for many years we did, and it was great. Well, as my kids have gotten older, it's a lot. I'm very stretched sometimes, and there's a lot to get done. And so when I look at our daily schedule, especially this past year, I had all these intentions of having read aloud scheduled in every single day. But when I look at our day and I'm like, okay, so we got to do Bible, history, science, and then a lot of times I would have had a read aloud scheduled to go along with history. But then, we started late, so we don't have time to do that now. We'll do it later. I knew we weren't going to get to it later. But I always say, we'll just do that later. And then, but we've got to get done our language, and we got to do math. We have to do spelling. We need to do handwriting. We have to get all the important subjects done first. And if we have time, we'll fit in read alouds. That was how my thinking has been a lot of this year and a lot of last year. And I'll tell you, it's a big bummer. I really miss that in our homeschool. That time, that precious time with my kids to be reading out loud it doesn't always go as smoothly as you want, especially if you have a little one. A lot of times I would start a read aloud. I would finally be like, this is the week. We're going to do a read aloud. We're going to start it. And I'd be like a chapter in, and my little 5-year-old would just do something really distracting, and then my girls would be laughing at him, and I would get frustrated and be like, fine, forget it. I'd close the book and put it away, and they're all bummed, and because I'm like, I'm not reading to you if you're not going to listen. There's so many distractions that can happen if you don't make a read aloud time a priority. And if you don't do it enough, your kids are maybe not going to be as good at sitting still and listening. My little one, we haven't done a lot of read alouds that involved him at all. I'll read quick little books to him, but when it comes to like chapter books, he's never in the room when we do them. So he doesn't sit still long enough, and he's very distracting. What I'm doing from this point on, which I started a couple weeks ago, I am scheduling a read aloud with my family, either family time read aloud or a one-on-one read aloud, which I think is important too. And I have that in my schedule. Let's see if you can see this. This is our schedule that I have come up with recently. And as you can see, I've got everything in there. Devotions, Bible time, that has to be scheduled in because that's not something I want to miss. We've got science and history alternating, all this other stuff. But if you see right here, I actually wrote read aloud in every single day, because I know that if that is not scheduled in, I'm not going to get to it. They also have their silent reading time. I think that is just as important as some of the bigger subjects. And here's the other thing. It doesn't matter how old they are. If you have heard of Sarah Mackenzie's Read Aloud Revival, if you haven't, you need to check that out because it's amazing. She has a podcast, and she's just wonderful. I've loved her for years. But I haven't put it into practice like I should. But it doesn't matter even if your kids are in high school. She still does read alouds with all of her kids. And that's something that I want to do too. I can tell you that my oldest girl, who's in 6th grade, yeah, she can read chapter books all by herself. She doesn't need me to read to her. My other 2 girls can read by themselves. They don't need me to read to them either, but they love it when I do. I treasure that time of sitting together as a family and reading out loud and just reading a good book. I feel like we've missed out on a lot of that just really special memories of family time and just reading together that I wish I hadn't put off for the more important stuff. So take it from me, schedule your read aloud time in, whether it's during your school day or make sure you do it before bed, however it works for you. I know some moms do it at lunchtime. That doesn't work for me because I want to eat too, and I can't eat and read at the same time. Our bedtime sometimes, I know me and I'm drained by the end of the day, so our bedtimes are a little bit quicker nowadays. So I'd rather get it done during the day and kind of have a quicker, tuck in for bedtime. So do what works for you, but make sure you schedule that read aloud time in. The second thing has to do with some of the subjects like history, science, Bible, things like that. Now those are subjects that you can all do separately. We did a curriculum the last few years called Heart of Dakota that was amazing, and we may go back to it when my daughter gets into high school if I want her to do more independent work. It's very independent when your kids get to like 4th grade. It's very independent, and they really do all their work on their own, which was amazing. I was very overwhelmed last year and in the thought of bringing my son into the schoolroom and having to do his work too. So all my kids being able to do most of their work by themselves was just really great. And if you're in that season of life, then that is wonderful. Go with something like that where they can work independently. But at the end of the year, I realized that my oldest daughter, she was doing everything on her own. Like we had one read aloud that we did together, but she did her Bible on her own, which is good. There's good parts about this because the curriculum taught her how to do her own devotions and how to dig into the Bible on her own, which is great. She did her history on her own. She did her science. She did everything on her own. The problem that I felt at the end of the year, I thought, I don't really know much about what she learned because I was busy with the little ones and helping with little bits here and there. But one thing I didn't like was that all my kids were in different time periods in history. They were all studying totally different things in science. It was a lot on me. So I felt like my mind was kind of going to explode thinking about, well, she's in this time period, she's in this time period, and wait, she has a science experiment today, and we have to read out of this. And even if it didn't have anything to do with me, I didn't like how everything was just so discombobulated. It made me a little bit overwhelmed. Even though it took off some of the pressure of me, I missed that family time. So what I'm doing this year that I absolutely love is family style subjects. And there's a lot of curriculum out there that you can use that do family style subjects. We are using The Good and the Beautiful for science. Their science is wonderful. You just buy a unit and you do a few different units during the year. So we're doing, right now we're doing the human body. Next we're doing meteorology. And then after that we're doing astronomy. And you just study that one subject, that one area of science as a family. And it goes, I believe it's K through 8. Some of them are maybe K through 6. But my daughter, my 6th grader, my 4th grader, my 2nd grader, they're all learning the same thing in science. My little guy sometimes sits in. But I cherish that time of us doing science together. We spend 45 minutes to an hour probably in science because they're nice long lessons. But it's all of us and we're all done. We're all doing it together and I just love it. And I just give different assignments to the different kids. So my 6th grader, I'm going to expect a whole lot more from her when she has to, write out a summary of what we talked about as opposed to my 2nd grader. It's easy to adjust to their different grade levels, but you're all learning the same thing, which I just love and I think is amazing. History, we're using BiblioPlan, and that's another thing. We sit down either on the couch or at the table, it just depends. And we sit down together and I open the book and all my girls and I sit together and we do history together every single day. Does my 2nd grader get everything that we're talking about? No. Is my 6th grader pulled behind and is it slow for her? No, it's not. I feel like doing it as a family, it really teaches everybody where they need to be. And when I ask questions, my 6th grader is going to answer a lot more questions than my 2nd grader or even than my 4th grader. But they kind of all learn from each other. And again, I have different assignments. I have assignments for my 4th and 6th graders that I don't have my 2nd grader do. But we're all learning the same thing. And it's amazing and I love it. It's wonderful. And I don't know if I would go back to doing individual subjects. We might, in high school, when she's in high school. But for now, I wish I'd done this all the way throughout elementary school with all of my kids. But it's okay because every year has been good in different pieces and different parts of what we did. But for right now and for your family, I would say if you have multiple kids and you don't want to be stretched thin, find a curriculum that you really like and you love that teaches everybody together for as many subjects as you can. Bible too. That's one of those things that we all do Bible together right now. Now I want my daughter to still continue on and do her own individual quiet times on her own, my 2 older girls, but I also want us to do Bible together because that's something that I really missed when we were doing Heart of Dakota and everybody was doing different Bibles on their own. I really think you need to do Bible together as a family, as long as you can, because they're going to be out of the house before we know it. The next thing, listen, is this ridiculous that this is something I have to tell myself to do, but I guarantee some of you are in this, they've got to be in the same place as me. You're busy. You've got school to do on top of household chores, keeping the house clean, keeping everybody fed. You've got to make, at least 2 meals a day. If I don't, they're on their own for breakfast because I already do 2 other meals a day. But anyway, you've got to feed them. You've got to do the grocery shopping and everything. There's so much stuff to do. For many years, I have not played with my kids. I remember when my 2 big girls were little, I used to sit with them and play Barbies with them. I laid on the floor. I loved playing dolls with them. And I'm not just talking games. I just mean playing with their toys, building blocks. When you have a little baby, you lay on the floor and you build blocks with them. But it seems like when they get past that age of like, Mommy, will you play with me, and needing you to play with them, and then they have each other, it's easy to just say, sorry guys, go play. I've got to do the dishes. Go play. Mom's got to fold laundry. I've got to do this, whatever. And I feel like I'm so busy that I don't have that fun playtime with them. And I miss it. And I know they miss it. And what showed me this was the other day, their grandma invited them to come over and sled. We got some snow. They were all excited. My first thought is, oh man, so I could drop them off at grandma's house and I could go grocery shopping because I really need to go grocery shopping. Or I could come back home and take a nap. Or I could come back home and fold laundry or clean dishes or whatever I need to do. Or just come back home and lay down and read or just, chill for a bit. That was my first thought. And then one of my girls came up and said, are you going with us to Mimi's house? And then another one came up a few minutes later and was like, are you going to come with us? Are you going to go sledding with us? And I didn't even at first really consider it. And then I thought, okay, I just need to do this. I need to go with them. I need to stay with them. I just don't like being cold. Guess what? I bundled up. Instead of just showing up in jeans and, a sweatshirt and then being cold, I had jeans and I borrowed my husband's big, waterproof workout pants, or I don't know what they're called. But I put those on top of my jeans and I had big, tall socks on and a sweatshirt and a coat and a hat. And I bundled up and looked like I was 40 pounds heavier. But guess what? I wasn't cold. Duh. I tell my kids to bundle up, but I never bundle up. Anyway, I went over there. I set up my camera because I was like, I'm going to treasure this to remind myself to do this more often and remind myself when I see the smiles on their faces how much they love this and how much they need this time with Mom. It was amazing. I loved it. It was so much fun. I can't tell you the last time I had that much fun. It was a blessing. I just really loved it and cherished it, and my kids had so much fun, and it's definitely something that I needed to do to see how important playing with your kids is. So play with your kids, go sledding with your kids, play on the floor with them. Sometimes it seems like you have too much to do, but that other stuff can wait. You always hear from those moms that kids have moved out of the house and they say, oh, one day the dishes will be done and the laundry will be done and the kids will be gone and the house will be quiet and clean. And in the moment, it's hard to really understand how valuable that is. And I still probably don't understand the true value of that. I'm really going to be intentional about playing with my kids more because these are the years and they're flying by. Number 4. This one is a major problem for every single person in America right now. In this world of technology we live in, it is so easy to be on your phone, to keep your phone next to you during school and check your email or scroll through Facebook. Like there's a lot of times where I would be working with everybody individually and then everybody's kind of doing something on their own. I'm just sitting there waiting for someone to work with me. What's the first thing I do? I pick up my phone. I'm like, oh, let me check Facebook, or let me, see if I got emails or whatever. And my kids see that. They notice that I pick up my phone. Or if sometimes even one of them would be reading to me, and one of my daughters has to read poetry to me every day, and she would be reading to me, and then, text would come through. So I'm still listening. Moms can do all kinds of multitasking. So I'm still listening, but I would pick up my phone and check the text. And you know what she'd do is she'd say, Mom, are you even listening? And that hurts. That's like a very humbling thing for your kid to say, to realize they don't think you're paying attention to them. And I know that's how it is all around the world. You go to Walmart, you go to the doctor's office, you go anywhere, and every single person you see is on their phone. Phones are a great tool, but I think it's also a super negative thing, especially in your schoolroom. I have a friend who told me years ago that they did homeschool in their basement. They had a classroom set up down there. She left her phone upstairs during school. She said otherwise it would be too distracting. And when she told me that, I thought, whoa, I don't think I could do that. What if there's an emergency? You can run upstairs and get your phone, But that's what you tell yourself. Or, I don't know, I feel like I would need it just in case someone called or whatever. But no, set that time apart when you're doing school to focus on your kids, and put your phone aside. You can have your phone at the table, but you've got to be strong enough to not pull it up, not open it, and not look at this and not look at that. And it's a distraction for them. They need to see that you are fully there and you're giving them your all. Now, I'm telling you from experience, this is something I'm still working on, but this is something that I have on my list of things to do and things to fix and to get better at. So keep that phone out and pay attention to your kids. Okay, guys, the last thing. This has to do with reading, okay? I have never been a big reader up until the last few years. I would much rather have watched a movie or watched, TV or something mindless in my free time. But I have become more of a reader in the last few years. And I want my kids to become readers. I don't want them to wait till they're an adult to be readers and have a love for reading. But listen to this. When my kids come out of the schoolroom and the day is over and mommy goes and has, 20 minutes before she has to start dinner, she plops on the couch and opens her phone. What are they going to want to do? They're going to say, can I go watch TV, or can I get the tablet out and play a game, or can I go do a Marco Polo with my friends or whatever? Well, it's really hard to say no to those things when the first thing you do is go check your phone or whatever. Now, I'm not saying never go on your phone, because you can, but do your kids see you reading? And that's something I have tried so much recently. And I'm talking about physical books. I'm not talking about sitting there with your phone or your tablet in front of you reading a Kindle book or something like that. I know a lot of people do that. I like to sit there with an old-fashioned book, a paper book. If your kids see you with a book, they're going to want to read. You're really going to encourage this like atmosphere of reading if they see you reading. But they've got to see it. You're not going to be encouraging having big readers in your family if mom is either reading on the tablet or just never reading. Make time to do it. Something I have done recently, I rearranged our living room to where instead of the couches being, we have like a weird shaped living room, so the couches are either way out on the edge of the living room and then you have all this floor space, but then everybody feels kind of far apart. Or what I did recently was I pulled all the couches in kind of the center of the room, the 2 couches and then 2 chairs. The fireplace is right there. The TV is like over in the corner of the room. It's not the central focus of the room. The fireplace is now. And now that it's winter, I've done a fire almost every single day, and we have sat so many times. We did a readathon last week, if you saw my video on Thanksgiving tips of things to make Thanksgiving of 2020 fun. But a readathon was one of the things we did that day. And that really sparked this love of reading that my kids already had, but it really, really encouraged it even more, because even Daddy was home and he sat down and read with us too for a bit that day. But we all have been sitting in this cozy little area in our free time reading. Not every moment. They still go play. They're playing right now. And I still go on my phone sometimes, but I'm trying not to do it as much when they're around. I'm trying to let them see me with a physical book. So that is my encouragement for you with that, is just get out a book, go to the library or look in your bookshelf, because you probably have books there. Get out a physical paper book and find a bookmark and really read a book. And I bet your kids are going to want to read with you, or they're going to want to read next to you, or it's going to encourage a love for reading. So that is definitely something that I'm going to try to keep up in my family so that I can encourage that with my kids. Okay, friends, that's it. That's all I've got for you today. I really hope that you can learn from my mistakes. I've been homeschooling for 7 years now, which is longer than some, not even nearly as long as a lot of people too. But I've learned a lot in 7 years of homeschooling. And I have these, if I could do over, I would do some of these things over again. So I just hope that you can take from me, from my experience, and try to make your homeschool a little bit smoother, and really try to treasure and cherish these moments that I have missed out on some of these over the years. Luckily, my kids are still young when I'm realizing this, so that's why I want to share this with you guys, so that you can help make sure you are focusing on what is important and focusing on the right things, so you have a really amazing homeschool life and a homeschool story to share one day, and your kids will hopefully talk about how wonderful their homeschool experience was. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. That's always such a huge encouragement to me, just to see how that a lot of people have actually liked my videos. I really put my heart into these, and I hope this is helpful for you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do, so that you're notified when my next video comes out. And I just appreciate you guys. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.